All right, we're live. Hey, girly.
Hey, this is going
How
to
are
be a
you?
very, I'm awesome. This is going to be a very interesting topic.
That's what's up. How was your weekend?
My weekend was really, really good. Last night I got back from out of town and I had an awesome weekend. I had to get up this morning and go to work, so I wasn't too happy about that, but it was still a good weekend.
Okay, same here. I played Big Mama this weekend, so I had a couple of kids over
Oh,
and they tore up my house, so I'll probably be getting that together today, but it was actually pretty good. I really can't complain.
listen, I am the queen of multitasking. So actually when I left on Wednesday, I left to go out of town. But on Wednesday morning, like I had packed the night before, but it was a few things that I needed to throw in my suitcase. But while I was getting ready for work, my power went out, and I was like, "What in the world is going on?"
Oh,
So it's a
wow.
new house, and I didn't know where the switch was, like the power switch, the box.
Yeah.
So I, assumed that it was in the laundry room, but it wasn't in the laundry room. And I couldn't really see to get around. I didn't know where like any flashlights or anything like that was. So, anyways, I left the house and it was like I wasn't sure what was going on with the power. So then, when I pulled out of my subdivision, I saw that their electric company was doing something with the power. So I'm like, oh, they must have somehow tripped the power. But as a result, I was kind of in a rush and kind of rushed to get everything squared away.
Yeah.
So my house is still in kind of a disarray. So when I do make it home, I'll be cleaning while I'm enjoying the stream and kind of chatting it up with everybody too.
Okay, okay, okay. Yeah, I gotta get my house together, child. These little kids, oh my gosh. I so this is the funny thing. So when I was younger, I would see these movies and they would have like a big mama vibe to them.
Hmm.
Kind of like soul food where it was like an old wise woman or some shit, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
And so, kind of early on, I kind of had like a vision of like being a big mama, right? Like, I feel like I'd be like the old wise woman. People would
Oh,
bring their kids by and shit.
really?
And yeah, child, it's coming into fruition, and I'm not sure about it no more, honey.
Oh my God.
I'm like, kids are bad.
Girl, I can't do a lot of kids. My nerves are bad. Like I'll be like, like I like the kids that like sit down. That's why boys. Oh no, because I like kids that sit down and like if we can paint nails or color and stuff.
Yeah.
Active kids, I'm like, this ain't gonna work. No.
So I had to get out and play football. They had me out there shooting the Jays and stuff. Child, was a mess. And then,
Oh
I'm out of
no.
shape. It was a mess.
I can't do that.
It was a whole mess. So let's get into the topic.
All right.
Is there redemption for a single mother? What do you have?
So I think this is going to be a pretty interesting topic. I think we should start it. Well, let me just preface our topic with saying, there's always single mothers get a lot of flack in the Black manosphere. Like
Yes.
some things that I have never even imagined anyone saying about a woman. Like I hear it in the manosphere. I mean, from everything to single mothers being blamed for Pookies and Ray Rays and the decline of the Black community to single mothers having no sexual market value and men being advised to steer clear of them. Like some of the wildest things you can even imagine. Like I mean, they it's all tied into single motherhood some way. So as a result of that, and with that being the case, I think that um it's fitting to actually ask the question, is there redemption for single mothers? We hear all the negative things about single motherhood, never anything positive, even though there are some positives that come out of, not to say that being a single mother is a positive thing, but there are some there's some positives produced from, single motherhood. And I'm not going to formulate an argument as to whether or not that is the norm or not, but I want to know just basically, like, is there, and we're not asking for redemption, because
Make
technically
that
I'm a
clear.
single mother. So we're not asking for y'all redemption. We just want to know, per your opinion, what the consensus is regarding whether or not there is redemption for single mothers. And, I don't want you guys to think, or people to push the narrative, because, we're already mammies. So I don't want the narrative to be pushed that, oh, Concrete and Danielle, we're up there asking to be redeemed for being single mothers. That's coming. So,
Girl,
I
we
don't
have to
know.
stay male identified over here now.
Yeah,
Don't
well, yeah.
change us. Don't change it up.
Since we're male identified, that's going to be the narrative being pushed, that we're so thirsty for male attention that we're asking if we can be redeemed because we're single mothers. But nonetheless, I mean, what are your thoughts on it?
Well, prior to getting here, I would have never traced the origins of the demise of the Black community back to single mothers, right?
Right.
And so my whole thing was like, okay, the Black community has had welfare issues, drug issues,
Mm-hmm.
incarceration of our men triple everybody else's.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's like initially I was like,
Mm-hmm.
Black men need to get their shit together. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Right.
And so when I got over here, it's and I've been, I'll say I kind of entered the manosphere long before the manosphere was the manosphere. So I'd say maybe about 4 years ago or so. And I think I was listening to O'Shea's channel at one point, right? And they were going in. Do you hear me? Going in. And I was like, these fucking dudes are nuts. They're nuts. They're nuts. And I just couldn't get past that everybody would blame everything on the woman. Like, and it's just the woman did this, the woman did that, the Black woman did this, the Black woman did that. Single mother, single mother, single mother. And for a while, it just took me a long time to realize, what some of the problems were, as far as single mothers. So I do feel like there can be redemption for single mothers, but I honestly think that I kind of feel like, you have the manosphere and then you have real life. But what I'm starting to see is that a lot of men have the same views as these guys in the manosphere. A lot of men have these same views, and it's just not talked about at the rate that these guys talk about it at. So I don't know. I go back and forth with it. Concrete, you still there? Okay. Let me see. Hey, Waterfire. I don't know why y'all entertain these single mother talks. They make it seem like the woman had the child by herself without a man's sperm, the way they approach the single mother situation. And Waterfire, now the whole thing about it is, and it does, accountability does mean a lot. Accountability is one of the main things. Um, with being a single mother and having to raise the child by yourself and really going through the woes of being a single mother, you really do choose who you had sex with. You choose who you chose to get pregnant by. Because at the end of the day, women, we can choose whether or not we want to have a child, whether we want to put the baby up for adoption, whether we want to give custody to the father. And so I feel like most of the responsibility does, in my opinion, most of the responsibility does fall back on the woman. And so that's kind of why I entertain the single mother talk myself. Um, Kevin Paris said no self accountability. Hey, Kevin. Leo. Hey, Leo. Corey kind of summed it up in her with her comment. Not too much to say after that. We
Sorry
ain't
about
done
that.
nothing to these niggas. That's facts. We haven't done anything to these dudes, but um, you do be kind of wondering, like, well, with my own son, I try to do the best that I can with my son, and I am a single mother. Um, my son's father stays all the way across the country. It's not really, really hard to co-parent since he stays across the country, but you know, if I'd be lying if I said things were easy. I'd be lying.
And I'm sorry, Danny. I was inside the restaurant paying for my food, so I did miss your question that you were asking me, or the question that you were posing.
Girl, and I done forgot the question my damn self.
Don't worry about it. Well, can you read Waterfire's comment for me one more time? Because I can't go in and out
Sure.
until I.
Sure. Waterfire said, I don't know why y'all entertain these single mother talks. They make
Mhm.
it seem like the woman had the child by herself without a man's sperm, the way they approach the single mother situation.
Mm.
And did you hear my response to
Yeah,
Waterfire?
I heard your
Okay.
response, but I didn't hear the whole comment. I think Waterfire has a great point, because the primary thing that's lacking in these conversations related to single motherhood is shared accountability, because we all know that it takes two people to make a child, and the onus is often strictly put on the single mother in these conversations, because a lot of times they are very one-sided. So I agree. For me personally, I like the dialogue, and I think that I I've had conversations that I've heard people say, why even approach this subject or broach this subject, because it's not going to go anywhere, and it yielded some good fruit for me. If nothing else, I walked away with like some clarity on some things that I was wondering about, and or I learned something that I didn't know prior to engaging in conversation. So I think that for me, like I said, we're not truly seeking redemption, but maybe posing this question will have help someone else to have a different look and a different view on how they view single motherhood, and or maybe it'll stop someone from berating single mothers, because they'll have a more clear view of what we as single mothers experience. So that's my hope, even if it's just one person. And I know that that's a long shot, especially because a lot of the people who might listen to this are frequent the manosphere, and they've already formulated very strong opinions around the topic. But nonetheless, if nothing else, maybe we could just have healthy dialogue about it.
Okay. Waterfire made a good point. She says, yes, women do choose, but people switch up on you. You can have in your mind that it's going to be white picket fence and roses, and then they switch up on you. Do you feel like that happens a lot, or do you feel like women, because
I, I
it
mean,
well, go ahead.
I can't put a number on it. I think that it absolutely happens. I'm a woman. I've seen it happen. I've experienced it myself. I think it happens a lot more than people want to admit. But I do also think that there are situations where women ignore red flags. And listen. I know on the flip side of that, I know women who have dated men who have multiple children by multiple women, and they eventually came a baby mama, and the man was not taking care of the child, just as he was not, taking care of the children from his previous relationships when the woman or young adult girl got with him. So, I've seen it happen on both sides. But the issue to me is that nobody wants to acknowledge that the other happens. You know what I mean? So, the other thing too that I find interesting is like, when we talk about is there redemption for the single mother, a lot of women had their children when they were young adults, and they've
Hmm.
grown and they've matured since that time. They're not making the same types of decisions. They're making better choice in men. They are elevating themselves. They're doing the best that they can to care for their children and provide for their children. They're making the best out of the best that they can out of a bad situation. Like, are those people ever redeemed? You know what I mean? Like, you're busting your behind. You fell for someone's trap and or ignored the red flags and had a child by someone, and as a result you tried to right a wrong by busting your butt, working extremely hard to ensure that you provide for your child, that you give your child the best that you possibly can. Like, is there redemption for you? Are you redeemed? What has to happen in order for you to be redeemed? These are the types of questions that I want answers to.
Okay, well, I kind of feel like the thing that I think the Menosphere refers to is the woman having children by multiple men, never getting married, her children turning out a certain way, her children being the dregs of society, and they feel like they have to come in and clean up what um, somebody else put out. The women having kids by men who have multiple baby mamas and expecting good to come out of those types of situations. Because, well, and I'm gonna be honest, in my opinion, I'm not gonna say that all the kids come out messed up or anything, or they're the worst people in the world, but I honestly think children do turn out better coming from a two-parent household. Um,
Yeah, I
Now,
think your child has a better chance of success. I mean, I don't know how it's measured and I wouldn't put a number on it, but I do think that your child has a better chance of success. When, I was with my ex for over 14 years. Uh, the last time, the long, okay, so we were together and then we broke up, and like, when we had children, we were together for 14 years. So it was a total of about 16 and a half years. However, I say that to say, when we were no longer together, things were a lot more difficult, like, because of the fact that, I've always been career focused. So I've always had, great job and things of that nature. But there were times when my daughter might be having something at school and I have an important training at work that I can't miss. And, we don't live in the same state. So there's no one there to, you don't have another parent there to provide some additional balance. So I know that, children, there are some, even if you look at that situation as something small, there are some negative impacts on children when there aren't two parents in the home.
yeah, I can definitely attest to that. Um, in regards to redemption for the ones, because I kind of feel like there's levels to it. You have women who have kids. Like, I have one child. My son's father didn't have any kids. This is our first child together. And then we were actually in a relationship. I feel like a lot of the issues come from women just kind of having sex with a guy, and it's not anything, and the guy really didn't have a whole lot of love for him. A guy may have they just may have had sex. She may not have had a lot of love for him either. And a child, when children come out of those kind of situations, I feel like it's kind of harder, um, especially if you don't really know the person. And
Good point.
you having sex with somebody, y'all get along, everything is cool, then you mess around, you get pregnant, he may not want the child. um then you have situations where he's not really gonna be, and this is my opinion, I don't think he's gonna be as willing to do a whole lot as much as a person who wanted to really be there for the child. And I think women kind of ignore those types of things when we don't really think far ahead. You know what I'm saying? I just don't think we have a whole thought process about stuff when we just kind of in the middle, in our whatever with guys.
Right. I agree.
You there? Okay.
Can you hear me?
You kind of you got a lot of background noise, but I
Hold
can
on,
hear
I'm
you.
stepping out. I was saying I agree. I have some, I guess what you would call unorthodox views. You were
Hmm.
saying that a woman who, oh my gosh. Okay, let me respond and then I'll have to go back inside because they forgot something. But you were saying that, you were speaking about, children born out of wedlock. I don't believe in, I don't subscribe to state sanctioned marriages. I know, to me, a two-parent household is, two um, responsible adults being in the house and raising the child or children. I know the example that I just gave. The first person that came to mind was a friend of mine who married a guy who had 6 children by 3 or 4 different women, and they married. She had a child by him, and things went awry. He didn't take care of her child, just like he didn't take care of the other 6. So marriage, I mean, that's not. I don't. To me, I don't think that we need to seek validity through this court system in this country. So I don't subscribe to that. But for me, if 2 parents are in the household raising the child, that's what I deem to be a 2-parent household. So I feel a little differently about that. I don't think that marriage alone is,
Is
you know,
the solution?
yes, I think that healthy, relationships and 2 people being on the same page, you're going to have a better chance of success for your children. But I also, when I think about situations like, um, a child being born, and I'm sorry, I know there's a lot of background noise, but when I think about a child being born out of wedlock, I think that when I say wedlock, I mean wedlock as the term that, the way in which we use it. I don't think that that alone is what creates a poor situation for the child necessarily.
That's true. That's true. Well, let's welcome the Roger.